There's no fall from grace like a celebrity sent to prison. It's top of the world to bottom of the food chain, and these notorious criminals, with names you definitely recognize, have it even worse than you may have thought.
When you say teenage, how old are we talking?
Girls who are teenagers.
And that was it. That was the answer that started the downfall of R. Kelly. He was the king of R&B in the 1990s, notching dozens of hits like Sex Me and Bump and Grind. But for almost his entire career, Kelly was accused of impropriety, exploitation, and abuse of women. He illegally married Aaliyah when she was 15 years old, and he evaded prison after being charged with multiple counts of creating sexually explicit content involving underage women. In 2017, Kelly was arrested, charged, and tried for leading a cult-like group of women he essentially kept prisoner at his home. In 2023, after being convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking, and various crimes against minors, Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In 2020, while incarcerated at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago prior to his sentencing, Kelly was lying in his cell bed when he was attacked by another inmate. After being kicked, punched, and stomped on, Kelly was hit with pepper spray by a guard trying to break up the fight. The assault reportedly left Kelly with anxiety, insomnia, and a fear of leaving his cell. In 2025, after he was sent to solitary confinement at a North Carolina facility, prison staff administered Kelly his prescribed sleep and anti-anxiety medications, after which he fell unconscious and was hospitalized. He was also treated for a severely swollen leg, which he claimed was a result of being denied blood thinners by guards. A scan showed blood clots in Kelly's legs and lungs, but before he could undergo a scheduled surgery, officials sent him back to prison.
They will take you away one day, won't they? They'll come and go, "This is it, Gary.
Do you reckon?
We're off."
No wonder he smirked. Back in the 1970s, Gary Glitter epitomized the British glam sound. He shot to superstardom with his glitzy stage looks and foot-stomping rockers like I'm the Leader of the Gang and Rock and Roll Part 2. You know it as the crowd-pumping anthem at sports stadiums everywhere. Well, not anymore. But since the late 1990s, Glitter, whose real name is Paul Gadd, has been in and out of prisons in the UK and Vietnam for a series of crimes involving children. At this point, it looks like Glitter is behind bars for life. He was denied parole in 2025 when he was caught using the dark web to access illegal, sexually explicit images. The UK's Ministry of Justice won't readily report where Glitter is serving time, but it's been reported that he's housed in a special wing for vulnerable inmates at HMP Channings Wood. Cells there are single occupancy only and equipped with little more than a tea kettle, a radio, and a TV that only gets broadcast channels. Glitter spends most of his time within these four walls because, as a sex offender, he's intentionally isolated from the general population.
There's not every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
Joe Exotic became a household name with the release of Tiger King in 2020. The show hit streaming just after Exotic, under his legal name of Joseph Maldonado Passage, began serving what would amount to a more than 20-year prison term. He was convicted on 9 violations of the Endangered Species Act, 8 acts of falsifying wildlife records, and 2 charges of murder for hire after he reportedly tried to arrange a contract killing of his Animal World and Tiger King nemesis Carol Baskin.
They strip you butt naked, put you in a 6 by 8 foot concrete room with no windows, no blankets, no nothing.
In a 2023 interview with TMZ, Exotic complained, "I've been through hell in the last 5 years." In 2020, he claims that 8 guards at Oklahoma's Grady County Jail attacked him. He told the podcast Lauren Interviews, "They beat the out of me, tied me to a chair butt naked, put me in a shower so long that I blacked out and I woke up with skin off my arms from the straps." Exotic claims he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer that's moved into his bladder and lungs. In a January 2025 interview with Newsweek, he revealed, "I went from 209 pounds down to 171 in the last 3 months. I'm not going to live to carry out this sentence." Phil Spector was quite feared. He abused and imprisoned his wife, singer Ronnie Spector, and threatened to kill members of the Ramones during a recording session. He was also a legendary music producer, best known for basically creating the signature sound of the 60s with his wall of sound. So with that, he had the ability to get away with a lot of abuse. But all that came to an end in 2009. He was found guilty of second-degree murder for killing actor Lana Clarkson at his Los Angeles home 6 years prior.
A tragedy happened, but it could have happened in anybody's house.
Spector was sentenced to 19 years to life and was serving time at California's Corcoran State Prison when he died in 2021 following a transfer to the Stockton, California healthcare facility. The violence that was ever present in Spector's life followed him to prison, although there he would be on the receiving end for a change.
Bill Spector could never have done this. He could never stand up and shoot a girl in the mouth with a gun. Where's my history of this?
In 2009, Spector wrote to his friend, music writer Steven Escobar, who revealed that Spector lived in fear of a violent attack and that he couldn't bear to socialize in any way with the other inmates. According to Escobar, Spector wrote, "I want to get a better prison with people more like myself in it during the appeal process instead of all these low-life scumbags, gangsters, and Manson types." Spector may have been paranoid, but he also wasn't wrong. In 2010, he was reportedly assaulted by another prisoner after making a joke that, to put it mildly, didn't go over well. Spector was left with bruises on his nose, a black eye, and 2 dental caps knocked out of his mouth. Welsh act Lost Prophets was all over alternative rock radio in the early 2000s with hits like I Don't Know and Last Train Home. The band's frontman, Ian Watkins, became a big rock star with masses of devoted fans. His exploitation of some of them drove him to commit acts that plunged into new depths of depravity, in the words of Justice Royce of the Cardiff Crown Court. In 2013, Watkins pleaded guilty to 13 sexual offense charges, all against young children whose mothers were fans of Lost Prophets and gave the musician permission and access to their kids. Citing a lack of remorse for what he'd done, Judge Royce sentenced Watkins to 35 years in prison.
He's the most dangerous child sex offender I've ever met because he shows no emotion, he shows no sympathy.
While incarcerated at HMP Wakefield in England in 2023, Watkins sustained an attack so severe that he was briefly hospitalized. 3 fellow inmates held Watkins against his will and proceeded to seriously beat and stab him in the side, using a weapon made from a sharpened toilet brush. Watkins evidently owed someone in the group £900, which was worth $1,150 at the time. He was assaulted despite having paid other prisoners the equivalent of thousands of dollars for protection services. On October 11, 2025, Watkins was attacked and stabbed again, this time by 2 fellow inmates. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The boy band era of the late 1990s and early 2000s was orchestrated in large part by Lou Pearlman. Pearlman put together and managed most of the genre's groups, including Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, LFO, and O-Town. It made him rich, richer than he deserved, because he pays musicians very little and pocketed much of the substantial profits for himself. Pearlman also operated a Ponzi scheme out of Florida, bilking around 2,000 investors and defrauding banks out of $300 million, after persuading them to pour their money into 2 small airline businesses that didn't actually exist. Pearlman was tried and convicted on various financial fraud charges in 2008, for which he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. While incarcerated, Pearlman worked his way through the prison medical system with a host of serious health issues. In 2010, he had a stroke, and in 2016, he underwent a surgical procedure to correct a poorly functioning heart valve. Afterward, there were complications. The lining of Pearlman's heart got infected, which led to a heart attack that killed him at age 62. The bleak, violent, compellingly dark East Coast rap of the 1990s was pioneered by the duo Mobb Deep. Members Havoc and Prodigy, whose real name is Albert Johnson, released 8 albums, including genre classic songs like Shook Ones Part 2 and Quiet Storm. In 2017, at the age of 42, Prodigy choked on an egg while under emergency care for sickle cell anemia in a Las Vegas hospital. He didn't survive. Years before his death, Prodigy's career was interrupted in the late 2000s with a 3-year stint at New York's Rikers Island prison on a weapons charge. Needless to say, while on Rikers, he didn't get a lot of help or treatment for sickle cell disease. On his first day inside, he came down with food poisoning. This was such a shock to him that he worked hard to stay healthy and treat his sickle cell anemia with as much good nutrition as he could manage. In fact, Prodigy concocted a whole series of recipes later published as Commissary Kitchen, my infamous prison cookbook. He collected prison cafeteria and commissary items to make things like sweet potato pie, assembled from canned yams on a crust of butter, sugar, honey packets, and graham crackers. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the New Orleans sound, as epitomized by the acts on No Limit Records, made a major impact on hip-hop. Along with label founder Master P, the label's biggest success was his brother, C Murder. However, C Murder hasn't made much music since the early 2000s thanks to his legal issues.
Even though C was making millions, he would walk through the projects like he never left.
When a fight broke out at the Platinum Club nightclub outside New Orleans in January 2002, C Murder shot and killed 16-year-old Steve Thomas. A jury convicted C Murder of second-degree murder, and he began serving a life sentence in 2009. While doing time at Louisiana's Elaine Hunt Correctional Center in 2021, C. Murder, whose real name is Corey Miller, was forced to bunk in an area with inmates who had tested positive for COVID-19. That, along with prison staff who refused to comply with masking and vaccination requirements, led to more prisoners contracting COVID-19 and longer quarantine times, according to Miller's family, who issued a complaint in the form of a press release. In protest of the COVID-19 conditions and his belief that the district attorney withheld evidence, C. Murder went on a hunger strike. In 2023, actor Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, having been found guilty of 2 sexual assaults in the early 2000s. He spent his first few weeks behind bars in a downtown Los Angeles facility before a transfer to North Kern State Prison. With the actor's safety behind bars an immediate issue, he was sent to Corcoran State Prison, a highly secure facility that once housed the late Charles Manson. In February 2024, Masterson was transferred again, this time to the lower security California men's colony in San Luis Obispo, California. There, Masterson went to work for the guards as an office assistant. A source close to the situation told In Touch he hands out ducats, or permission slips, to fellow inmates who have medical appointments, counseling sessions, and other appointments within the prison. Following a daily pickleball workout of about 2 hours, Masterson reports to his cell for a 3 p.m. check-in, then uses a prison-owned tablet computer to play a game or watch a show, although his selection is limited. He can also use the tablet to send emails, but isn't allowed to use the internet, and everything Masterson does is watched and logged. After that, Masterson heads to dinner in a cafeteria where the food's been widely panned. A source revealed, "He may have a casserole kind of thing that's so horrible most guys won't even eat it. He will get a grilled chicken and a salad, but it's mostly like wilted lettuce."
The judge admonished Masterson, saying, quote, "Mr. Masterson, you are not the victim here."
The judge was right. It's prison, not a country club.